Okay. Looks like I'm live. Have not done one of these for a long time. For like 2 weeks. It's been awful. It really has. It's been been a rough couple of weeks. However, as of probably haven't had a burst pipe for probably about 5 days, which is quite good going. And last week was actually not so bad. I just was knackered basically, and didn't want to do anything apart from started watching this thing called Dr. Foster. It's got that woman in it that was in this other thing with, like, she was in with a cop. They were cops. Forgotten what that was called, but anyway. And it's got that woman in it that was in Killing Eve, not Eve, but the other one. Oh, what's her name? I'm really good at this game, aren't I? Not remembering people's names. The one that was actually like the assassin. That one. It's got her in it. And it's really good. And so that's what I did. So sorry, didn't do any videos because I was watching Dr. Foster. She's a bit unhinged. I quite like her. Okay. All right. Lindsay says, I get short of breath really easily. Is this a recovery thing? Can be, honestly. Definitely anything like that you're worried about, you have to go and see a doctor. You can't ask somebody on YouTube if you're worried about that sort of thing. You have to go and see a doctor. And also see it as a sign that your body is struggling and therefore you need to rest and eat. Don't you dare be pushing yourself to be doing any form of movement when your body is communicating with you like that it's not up for it. Go and see a doctor. Oh God, you guys are so smart. Olivia Colman, and no, is it Jodie Foster? Olivia Colman, that's the one with the short dark hair, isn't it? Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, so whatever game it is where you're supposed to like remember people's names, basically, like, you know, like in Trivial Pursuit, I do shit in the entertainment thing because I always know people, know their faces, know what they've been in, but I can't remember what the name of what they've been in. I remember what happened in it, but I can never remember their names. It is a good show. This is Lauren, says, have you had clients that wanted to have the body of a child during recovery? Development was paused during eating disorder. Mm-hmm. Yep. I actually don't think that is uncommon. I think it's more common than a lot of people think it is, that a lot of children growing up get a bit freaked out by the process of the fact that they're growing up, or the evidence when they start to actually grow up, and don't want it to happen. I don't think that we need to necessarily psychoanalyze that as much as it is done now. And I think it's more common than people think it is. So I don't necessarily think that is a contributing factor to an eating disorder. That's what a lot of therapists would say. Or you're having your eating disorder because you're trying to stall your growth of your boobs because, you know, you don't eat, you're going to have less body fat, and they're less body fat, less boobs. I just don't know that if I buy it, because I distinctly remember when I was a child, I did not want to grow up. I was really against the concept of being an adult. Probably with good reason. Now looking back, I think about it, I think I was onto something, but I was very against the concept of being an adult. And I still remember I was at my grandma's house, my grandma who recently died of COVID, and then like 3 weeks ago, and then 2 days ago, I told someone like, oh yeah, my grandma's fine. And I totally forgot she died. That's how, anyway, that's completely beside the point. I was at my grandma's house. I remember the first time I saw a pubic hair on myself, and I was like, oh, the world is ending. I just did not want to grow up. I did not want to be an adult. I was like, this means I'm getting closer to being an adult. I can't go with being an adult. I don't want to be an adult. However, I was probably like 10, 11 at that time. And by the time I was 14, 15, I was like, I want to be an adult. I am an adult. All right, everybody, I'm an adult. Shut up. That's what I was like as a teenager. So I actually don't think that lasted. I think that's a phase that a lot of kids go through. And for me, like I said, I was almost 18 by the time I developed my eating disorder. I love being an adult. It just wasn't a thing. But I sometimes think that therapists grab hold of something and go, oh, that's the reason. And I'm like, nah, it's biology. Let's not grab a hold of every little sort of psyche weirdness that all of us have, because we all have that. We all have weird stuff. That's humans. We all think weird things. We all have weird fears. Like, I was afraid of going through puberty. It's a bit weird, not uncommon. Doesn't mean that I used my eating disorder, to stunt my growth necessarily. I'm not saying that nobody does, but I'm saying, like, we just can't jump to all of these conclusions when really the biological similarities between all of us that have eating disorders probably mean that those of us predisposed to develop one would have developed one for one reason or the other anyway. That's a long answer to a short question, wasn't it? Erica says, I've been trying to look at the calories on food. Good. But I get nervous because I feel like it's way more than what I usually have. Erica. What should I do to help this? Eat more? I'm not even joking. All right. Don't look at the calories on food. And then when you feel yourself getting nervous, going like, oh God, I might be eating more than I usually eat. Do you know what I want you to do, Erica? As soon as you have that thought, feeling nervous that you're eating more than usual, I want you to purposefully eat even more. You've got to do that to prove that thought that you're not afraid of eating more, and you're not afraid of weight gain, and you're not afraid of all the things that you actually are afraid of, right? If you have that thought going like, oh shit, you should look at the calories because you might be eating more than you usually eat, and you then go and look at the calories, you've just confirmed to your brain that it would be awful if you ate more than you usually eat, because that's what your action confirmed. How can you expect your brain to stop directing you to look at the calories when your actions are confirming that it's important for you to look at the calories? Your brain is just doing what you taught it to do. Your actions are teaching your brain to tell you to do that. Stop it. So you've got to do the opposite. When your brain tells you to do that, you've got to go, brain, I'm not even bothered. This is how not bothered I am, brain. Eat more. And your brain will be like, whoa, Erica's not even bothered about the calories. Look at her. She's eating more. That's what we want your brain to do. Needy says, is never feeling full a sign of extreme hunger? Probably. It's kind of like I feel stuffed, yet simultaneously I could eat more. Exactly. Yes. Don't worry about it. It will sort itself out. Keep eating. Liz says, bless you, Teddy. Sneezed. Isn't it the cutest thing ever when cats sneeze? Oh, it's so cute. Liz says, got my period back. Yes. I'm feeling much better, but wondering if my body still needs more recovery. Probably needs more Cadbury's cream eggs. Oh, Jodie Comer. Yeah, that's what I thought. When you said Jodie Foster, I thought, isn't Jodie Foster in something else? She is. I hadn't a clue what she's in, but Jodie Foster's in something else. I think she's got blonde hair. Holly says, is overeating a normal part of recovery from restrictive eating disorder? Holly, have you not listened to anything I ever said, Holly? Or anything I ever wrote? Or anything I ever podcasted, Holly? Yes. Yes is the answer to that. Erica says, how to deal with growing out of clothes. Like when my jeans feel big on me and I have to wear them to work, but it's hard because they get tighter. And honestly, I don't know if it's weight gain or all in my head. Doesn't matter, does it? Whether it's weight gain or all in your head. If your clothes feel tight, guess what the correct answer to that situation is? Buy clothes that aren't as small. It doesn't matter if it's in your head. It doesn't matter if it's weight gain. It doesn't matter what it is. I would say that if your clothes feel tight, you should buy a larger size. So that's what you should do. Steep Sister says, I live with my family and I feel lazy, bad, wrong when my family members exercise, but I don't. Said everybody with an eating disorder ever. Do you have any advice on how to stop comparing myself to them? So you have to, your brain at the moment thinks that it's super important that you do more exercise than anybody else around you. What we have to do is teach your brain that that's not correct, actually. So thanks very much, brain, for showing your concern, but that's actually not something I need to worry about. The only way that you're going to teach your brain that that's not something you need to worry about is by acting as if it's not something you need to worry about. So it's a bit like that question we had before. Like, at the moment, you're going like, oh, I'm trying really hard to do recovery. I'm trying really hard. I'm not going to do exercise. And you go, oh my God, my sister's going for a run. Oh, God, I can't cope. My sister's going for a run. I want to go for a run so bad. If you're doing that, you're acting as if it's devastating that your sister went for a run and you couldn't go, right? And your brain's watching you going like, oh, this must be bad. Must be the worst thing in the world if the sister goes for a run and she doesn't go. Your brain's learning from that. And that's why next time your sister goes for a run, your brain's going like, oh, God, this is important. Quick, we've got to tell the human the sister's going for a run. She needs to pay attention because this is a big deal. We've got to teach your brain it's not a big deal. And the only way that you're going to do that is by acting as if it's not a big deal. So your sister goes for a run and your brain's like, hey, quick, look, she's going for a run. You should be upset. You have to go, thanks, brain. I'm so not upset about this. I'm so chill. Look, I'm this chill. I'm going to eat a bag of crisps. Look at me, brain. Look at me eating a bag of crisps like I don't give a fuck. That's what you have to teach your brain. Your brain will go like, wow, look, she's eating a bag of crisps. She's not even freaking out. Well, maybe it's not a big deal if her sister goes for a run anymore. Well, guess it's not. And your brain will be like, all right, stuff might have changed a bit. And then if the next time, say if your dad goes for a run, and your brain's like, oh, human, look, dad's going for a run. And the next time you're like, yeah, not bothered, brain, not even bothered, don't even care. Then your brain will be like, that's like the second time she hasn't even cared that anyone's gone for a run. Like, well, maybe we don't have to care about this anymore. And then someone else goes for a run, say your mum, and your brain's going to be like, do you even care? And you'll be like, no, I don't even care. And your brain's like, all right then. And then the next time someone goes for a run, your brain will be like, well, we obviously don't care, so I don't need to alert the human to that. That's how neural rewiring works in a nutshell. So you have to train your brain via actions. If you allow yourself to freak out about stuff and make a big deal out of it, you're teaching your brain that something is a big deal and it's not going to let go of that thing because it thinks it's a big deal because you're making it a big deal. Do you see what I'm getting at? Haley says, do you have any advice for helping a friend that engages in exercise as a compensation behavior? Yes, tell them to stop. Oh, that's all right, Eleanor. Yeah, it's been a bit of a wild month. Thank you, though. You're very sweet. All right, I've got time for one more. Any recovery advice for somebody recovering from anorexia with other serious health conditions, so usual benefits of recovery are unattainable, can never eat solid food, can never be physically well, or able, and it just jumped so I can't see where I am, or able to enjoy physical activity, work full time, but know that recovery is worth it for relationships, freedom of mind, and actually being able to eat and being tube fed due to gut failure is hard. Yeah, it sounds really hard. So I'm just trying to put this all together. Can't eat solid food, never be physically well. Well, okay, so what you have to do is, there's a lot of can't do this, that, and the other. What you have to work out is, well, what can I do? So you can't eat solid food, but you can eat ice cream. Anyone can eat ice cream, right? Because that's not solid. So, you've got to sort of think, well, what can I do? And what can I do within, all of these parameters? What does recovery look like for me? Like, what does my recovery look like? Because you're going to know what not recovery looks like for you. You're going to know what restriction looks like for you. You're going to know what your eating disorder looks like for you. And so it's the same really as for anybody else. Whatever your eating disorder looks like, that's what you have to act against and that's what you have to go against. And so within that, what the foods that you can eat, the things that you can do, all of those things, you have to gear all of that towards the least restrictive version of yourself that you can possibly be. And that's how you'll do the neural rewiring in there as well. And whatever your circumstances, I promise you that life without an eating disorder is much, 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 much better than life with an eating disorder. And so that's what you have to see it as. You have to identify what your eating disorder looks like for you. And then with that sort of tells you what recovery looks like for you, because it's basically doing the opposite of those things. I've got one more. I already said that. Rachel says, do people sometimes deal with fatigue and achy legs even 2 years or more into recovery, getting or even eating near or at Minimord? Well, I don't even know what they do. I've got a vague idea, but that doesn't mean I'm like, is that unrestricted eating? Yeah, I think so. But the question there, do people sometimes deal with fatigue and achy legs even 2 years or more into recovery? Yeah. Yep. It's like anything, there's like a bell curve to everything, isn't there? There's a spectrum to everything. You could say that most people recover within a year to a year and a half. But then, of course, some people recover in a shorter period of time. Some people recover in a longer period of time. Some people's bodies take a lot longer to get over the fatigue. Some people's bodies get over the fatigue fairly early on. Some people's bodies get over the extreme hunger fairly early on. Some people's bodies, very few, don't have extreme hunger at all. And some people's bodies have extreme hunger for a really long time. And so I can't really make a judgment over your state of recovery from that question or as to what you're doing or anything like that. But the actual question, do some people sometimes deal with fatigue and achy legs even 2 years or more into recovery? The answer is yes, some people do. Okay, guys, good to be back. Good to see you all. Although I haven't seen you all. It's a bit weird, isn't it? But you know what I mean. Hopefully I'll be back on track with making some videos on more regular basis, if nothing else blows up. Bye.